I gotta figure out dinner. Maybe something with pasta. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be recording video. Never mind. This is Miss Norris again, and this is Norris Teaches Science. And this is another video in my biology edition of stuff I teach in biology. So today I present carbohydrates, which is funny because aren't carbs in pasta? I digress. All right, in this video, you should be able to say, I can describe what a carbohydrate is and what its purpose is. So before we do that, we need to talk about organic compounds or macromolecules or biological molecules, biological compounds. They all mean the same thing. It's any compound or molecule that contains the element carbon. Carbon is one of the elements on the periodic table of elements, and it's in all these organic compounds. There are four organic compounds that are essential to life: carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids. Today, we're going to just focus on carbohydrates. The other three will be in a video after this. Um, so let's just jump in and talk a little bit more about some basic information you need to know, which are monomers versus polymers. All right. The prefix poly means many, and it's a large molecule formed when smaller molecules bond together. Those smaller molecules are something called monomers. The prefix mono means one, and they are the small molecules that make up the polymer. So if you look here, you have these little small, I'm looking to the right where the laser pointer is, these little small individual ovals are all monomers. When you link them together, you get a polymer. The four macromolecules or organic compounds are all polymers. So they all have a monomer to them. So carbohydrates, let's talk a little bit about them. When you think carbohydrates, think of rice, think of bread, think of pasta, bread. I love bread. Bread's good. I shouldn't eat bread, but bread's good. The function of carbohydrates is energy, short term energy. My niece used to swim competitively until she stopped liking it. But night before a big meet, she would have pasta just to have that energy in there because swimming takes a lot of energy. Pasta has a lot of carbs in it, and so some athletes, when they have to have a lot of energy, will carbo load, and so they eat a lot of things that have carbohydrates in them. The monomer of a carbohydrate is called a monosaccharide. We're going to break that down in a bit. The elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, those are the three elements that make up a carbohydrate. The ratio is a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio of carbon to hydrogen to oxygen. And there are three types of carbohydrates: monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. So let's talk about these types of carbohydrates. The monosaccharide, the monomer of a carbohydrate, is a monosaccharide. It stands for one simple sugar. We know that because mono means one and saccharide means sugar. It's one simple sugar. So we're talking about stuff like glucose, which is like that. It's like your blood sugar, or plants make glucose, or fructose. Those are found in fruits. Um, Disaccharides have the prefix di, which means two, and saccharide, which means sugar. So it's two sugars. It's two monosaccharides linked together. So technically it's a polysaccharide as well, but it's a special type. And the example is sucrose, which is that table sugar, or the sugar you would place in, say, Kool-Aid or sweet tea, or used to make cakes. Those are the type of sugars. And then the last one's called a polysaccharide, which means many sugars. We know that because the prefix poly means many, and saccharide means sugar. And so we're looking at glycogen, cellulose, and starch. Starch is found in your potatoes, it's found in your breads, it's found in your pastas. A lot of the foods you eat that you love Don't get me wrong. Everyone loves potatoes, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes. People love pasta. People love bread. They have a lot of starch in them. Now, there are two tests when you talk about carbohydrates. You have the starch test to see if there's starch in something, and there's the sugar test to see if there's sugar in stuff. Because both of them are carbohydrates, but there's a difference between starch and sugars. Um, Starch test, what happens is you take a solution, and then you take yellow iodine and you place it in the solution. If there's no starch in there, the iodine is going to stay yellow. If there is starch in there, it's going to turn blue or black. Iodine is actually a disinfectant as well. My grandfather used to use iodine whenever he got a cut to disinfect the cut. Instead of using, hydrogen peroxide or rubbing alcohol, he used iodine. It does stain the skin, but I digress. In the sugar test, you're going to take something called Benedict solution, and it's a blue solution, and you're going to heat it um, with your substance. And if there's no sugar in the substance, the Benedict solution is going to stay blue. But if there is sugar, it's going to turn red. But that's a little bit about carbohydrates. We're going to talk about the other three macromolecules in the next video in this series. But like I always say, hope you learned something. And this is Mr. Norris, and I am signing out.